Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today in this video we are talking about marking tools for woodworking. In this instructable you will see some basic marking tools for woodworking in carpentry and joinery practice. Some basic tools are used for making and transferring a design or pattern to a workpiece. As the first step in the manufacturing process, it is performed in many industries or hobbies where the repetition works in initial setup is required. Thus, marking tools fulfill the necessity of requirement of those industries or hobbies where the repetition works in initial setup is very much needed. These are some tools. Step 1, tools and materials. These are some tools. These are the materials which are used for this project. Step 2, tri-square, cut the wood pieces. A tri-square is a tool used for marking and checking 90-degree angles on pieces of wood. Though woodworkers use many different types of square, the tri-square is considered one of the essential tools for woodworking. The square in the name refers to the 90-degree angle. To try a piece of wood is to check if the edges and faces are straight, flat, and square to one another. A tri-square is so called because it is used to try how square the workpiece is. Step 3, tri-square, glue both the parts. Next, I glued the cut pieces of the stock using some regular wood glue and clamped it for drying overnight. Next morning, I removed the clamp and again glued the blade that I already prepared to the stock cap and clamped it to dry again. After fully drying, I sanded the wood parts and checked with protector or any instruments to have absolute 90-degree from both inner and outer sides. Lastly, I applied a coating of varnish to get a tint look and save the wood in long run. Step 4, final tri-square. A tri-square is made of two key parts, the blade, also known as a beam or tongue, and the stock, which are fixed together at 90 degrees to form an L shape. Often, the top of the stock will not cover the full width of the blade, so the stock doesn't get in the way when making a mark. Tri-squares are typically 3 to 24 inches, 76 to 600 mm long. When checking if an angle is square, the woodworker will test the workpiece in multiple places or will pin the square along the length of the workpiece. Step 5, miter square, cut the wood pieces. A miter square or miter square is a hand tool used in woodworking and metalworking for marking and checking angles other than 90 degrees. Most miter squares are for marking and checking 40 degrees angles and its supplementary angle 135 degree. A miter is a beveled edge, usually 45 degree, used for example for making miter joints. For woodworking, squares are tools designed for marking and checking specific fixed angles, usually 90 degrees or 45 degrees, though most squares are exclusively for working with 90 degrees angles. Step 6, miter square, glue both the parts. Next, I glued the 45 degree angled stock pieces using some irregular wood glue and again clamped it for drying overnight. Next morning, I removed the clamp from stock piece and again glued the blade that I already prepared in the stock cap and clamped it to dry again. After fully drying, I sanded the wood parts and checked with protector or any instrument to have absolute 45 degree and 135 degree. Step 7, final miter square. As with 90 degrees squares, there are many different types of miter square. Miter squares are also made from two fixed parts, a stock and a blade. Modern factory-made miter square has a thin piece of metal blade which is fixed at 40 degrees angle, forming a T shape. The stock is usually much thicker than the blade and is made from wood, metal or plastic. Step 8. Sliding bevel gouge. Cut the wood pieces. A sliding tree bevel, also known as a bevel gouge or false square, is an adjustable gouge for setting and transferring angles different from the square, which is fixed and can only set at 90 degrees or 45 degrees angle. The sliding tree bevel can set any angle and transfer it on another piece. Step 9. Sliding bevel gouge. Make the stock piece. Next, I glued the cut pieces of the stock using some regular wood glue and clamped it for drying overnight. After dried, I drilled a hole at the top end so that the knob can be inserted. Then at the opposite side, I curved a hole and fixed the nut inside it with some super glue. Now the tightening screw will attach firmly. Step 10. Sliding bevel gouge tightening screw. Here I made the tightening screw with 2 pieces of wood and 1 piece of PVC. I cut round pieces of them and carved the bolt cap. Then I fixed a 4 mm bolt screw into it and glued all the pieces together. Then I kept it for drying again. Then I sanded the knob and made it smooth. Step 11. Final sliding T-bevel gouge. The bevel gouge is composed of 2 elements connected with a thumb screw or wing nut, which allows the blade to pivot and be locked at any angle. The handle is usually made of wood or plastic and the blade of wood or metal. Step 12. Marking gouge. Marking the stem. A marking gouge, also known as a scratch gouge, is used in woodworking and metalworking to mark out lines for cutting or other operations. The purpose of the gouge is to scribe a line parallel to a reference edge or surface. It is used in joinery and sheet metal operations. Step 13. Marking gouge. Making the fence. Here I cut 3 wood pieces for the fence and glued them together. After drying, I carved out a rectangle hole in the middle with some carving tool in order to insert the stem through it. Step 14. Marking gouge, thumb screw and spur pin. Here I made the spur marking pin. For this, I cut a small round piece of wood and fixed a nail in it. Next, I took 2 small pieces of wood and a M2 into 20 mm screw. Then I drilled and inserted the screw into one piece of it and glued the other piece together. After drying the glue, I put the thumb screw in the rotary tool and sanded it to make it round. Step 15. Final marking gouge. Some marking gouges have the capability to allow a number of implements to be fitted. A steel pin is used when scribing with the grain. A steel knife is used when scribing across the grain. The pen or pencil is used when woodworker doesn't wish the surface to be marred. It is also used to mark parallel lines to the face side and edge side. Step 16. Center line finder. Cut all the pieces. A center line finder is a very useful tool for woodworkers to get the exact center line of the workpiece. Either it is a block, a wooden bar or any side surface. The side of the jig varies according to the need. The jig will work till 6 cm wide. A larger jig can be made in order to mark center lines on wider wood pieces. Step 17. Center line finder. Make axis rods and assemble. Next, I used a bamboo stick of 8 mm diameter and cut 2 pieces 2 cm long. Then I sanded them and made them ready to glue together. Then I glued the axis rods and to the plate. Also, I inserted the marker tip in the center hole and our tool is now completed. Step 18. Final center line finder. With this jig, you no longer have to get an accurate center line on your instrument. The tool is constructed such a way that the jig centers itself automatically. Step 19. Speed square. Cut the wood pieces. A speed square, also called a rafter square, rafter angle square and triangle square, is a multi-purpose triangular carpenter's tool used for marking out. Its functions include many of those of a combination square, tri-square and framing square. Carpenters use it to make basic measurements and marking lines on dimensional lumber. Step 20. Speed square. Join the wood pieces. Next, I fixed and glued all the triangle side pieces together and glued them using wood glue and some super glue. Step 21. Speed square triangle measurement tool. Normal speed squares measure 90 degree and 45 degree, but this is a modified square. It measures 60 degree and 45 degree instead. Step 22. Marking tools for woodworking. Now we have finished making all the marking tools for woodworking and they all are ready to use. Though I have not covered all the marking tools here, there are more easy and useful tools out there for woodworking.